and welcome to AP Connect Reflections. Today I am joined by Sophie Smithdale of resit College. So hi Sophie, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good, great. Today we're going to talk about your AP Connect project that you've been on with this year and the journey and how practice has been developed over there at resit. So let's start at the beginning. Why did you want to be involved in AP Connect? How did you get involved? And what was your initial thinking way back when, probably this time last year, maybe even?
Yeah, so probably about June, July time last year, wasn't it? I think I was looking for a challenge and looking to really explore my own practice, I think, and having felt a little bit stagnant in what I was doing and my sort of reflections and things, and it popped up because I was doing so many ETF online CPD because we'd gone into lockdown. It was something that had popped up actually, and I found it that way, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. So I explored it through there and just really wanted to be part of. I liked the idea of being part of a big group and coming together with lots of other people who have similar sort of aspirations, and share that kind of idea of wanting to improve yourself.
Yeah. And that totally is, what the program's all about, which is amazing, isn't it? That we people from all over the country are able to come together, think together, and just grow and develop and see what comes out of it, really. Great. So what was your current thinking about, take me back to when you started to develop your project and what the ideas were, and then take me through how that's evolved.
So we'd just gone on, well, not just, we'd been online with that first lovely lockdown that we had. And it felt like a real kind of emergency gut reaction to online teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have any systems or any expectations. And it was all really woolly and really kind of confusing. And no one really knew what they were doing. And we were just winging it, massively winging it, like everybody else in the country.
Yeah,
and
literally.
The attendance was really hit and miss, and I think I just felt that we were in a real situation of just confusion and chaos, and I don't really like that. So I was looking at mulling over online delivery and remote delivery, and all these new articles were being pushed out, weren't they, by lots of different people, and just thinking about how our students, so our GCSE resit students, could really benefit from online delivery actually. Mm-hmm. And for us to, there was very much a kind of rhetoric about it being quite a negative experience going online. And I was thinking, well, actually, for some of our students who really struggle in a classroom, in a face-to-face environment, and have had really horrible experiences in school and don't enjoy that environment, being with other students, and won't speak up and don't like being questioned and just don't enjoy it at all, actually perhaps online delivery would be a really amazing experience for them and a really great tool to build their confidence and their learning. And that was sort of the kind of initial thinking, sort of, can we make this into something really great for not all of our students, because you've always got that cohort who really buzz off face to face, but perhaps for the quiet ones who don't do particularly well face to face, can we not make this something really amazing for them and really use it to really build their skills and their confidence in English and their experience actually of what education is?
Yeah.
Get rid of that negative thing that they've got going on.
Yeah, and I think that's where those listening will really resonate with that initial description of what went on in the first lockdown, which was everyone just sort of scrambling about, trying to figure out, how do we make this work? What can we do? How do we do it? We hadn't been in that situation before. And those that took it as an opportunity to reflect and really think about how we do things differently, I think they're the people that will have a sustainable sort of long-term impact on the way that curriculum is designed and the way that curriculum is delivered. So once people had kind of got out of some of the initial panic, and then we'd been making things happen, we were able to sit back and start to reflect on what was happening. But like you said, I think it's really nice that you took that opportunity to think about how maybe this could be a really different experience for the students. Like say resit, maths or English is hard sell sometimes with students, and it's really nice to think about it in that different way, isn't it? So yeah, just tell me about then where you've been since then and what you've been doing.
Yeah, so it's been so difficult to plan, as we know, and so we decided as a college, and I know some colleges have been 100% online, some have been 100% face-to-face, but we went back 50-50. So we were doing one online lesson and one face-to-face lesson, and it's felt like a really, really nice balance, because you've been able to build that relationship up face-to-face with your students. So then when you see them online or speak to them online, because we don't see them, the on-camera conversation, that you have already got that sort of relationship. But it's been really apparent that attendance for our online sessions is so much lower than attendance for our face-to-face sessions, and I really wanted to explore and understand why that is, because in theory, if you sat at home, there's absolutely no reason why you can't even just log on to a session, even if they're not engaging, but they're not even choosing to do that. So just really wanted to understand and explore why attendance for online sessions was so much lower. And it's been a really interesting journey. We've done quite a bit of student voice on it, and as honest, because they're always honest, aren't they? Really honest. And it was, around 80% of students said they just prefer face-to-face lessons. And it really showed how much they appreciated the relationships. The comments were, I can talk to my teacher, I'm not frightened to ask for help face-to-face, and all these kinds of things, that actually they could do all of that online, but they're not seeing it. So what can we do to make them feel more comfortable online, so that they can enjoy the experience as much as they do face-to-face?
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. And then I think we started to reflect a bit more on the way we were delivering, and how can we motivate students and engage students online, because are even those ones that are online actually engaged and motivated anyway?
Yeah.
That kind of pulled into question all of how are we teaching, what are we teaching, why are we doing it, what can we do a little bit differently? Which was a really, really interesting reflective experience about the way we teach resit GCSE actually.
Yeah.
And how we want to teach resit GCSE.
Yeah, it's interesting, just going back to the point that you made about students not totally seeing all the ways in which they can communicate with teachers when they are online, and how it felt different for them. I think that one of the things that we came to realize across the country is we almost had to rewind ourselves, didn't we? So once we'd figured out what we could do, we also then had to rewind and help the students to see those things as well, from almost giving them an insight into some of the pedagogical approaches that we were using, and the tools we were using, and the rationale by which we'd chosen to use them, because they had to also develop the skills to be able to learn online, as well as us figuring out how to make that happen. So I think it's really interesting that one of the key sort of things that's coming out of the last 9 months is there's a definite need to almost include, as part of the online delivery, the ways and the hows and the skills that is the use of technology to be able to facilitate learning, and for students to be able to engage in that.
Yeah. Definitely. I think what we make that assumption, don't we, that because they're just really digital savvy, and they're absolutely not. And so when we're thinking about the way we deliver and the way we want to show progress, we one of the big things that we've talked about actually is it's got to be so easy and so transparent for students to understand how to do it and why they're doing it, because they're just not this digital savvy group that we think they are. They are on TikTok, but not on Microsoft Teams. So, and that's been a real learning curve as well, is that we're also teaching the students how to use the tech that we're only just learning to use ourselves. There's so many layers to it. It's been a real complex learning journey, I think. But yeah, that's been really fascinating, because as we're learning, I think, and it's fun, it's really showed us as well that to share with them that we are trying something, and it might not work, or you might enjoy it, you might not, just let me know. So we've worked a lot on as part of plenary, getting feedback on the different types of things that we've used in a lesson. Did they enjoy them? Did they not enjoy them? Why? So that we can really make the lessons about them. If they've not enjoyed using Nearpod or Jamboard or whatever, why not? And a lot of the time it's just because they're just like, yeah, it was all right, whatever. But there's those nuggets of information where you're like, do you know what, I really hate the faffiness of it, I'd rather just tell you, Soph. It's like, that's amazing. That's feedback. So,
and this is the ideal time. Like you said before, it's about opportunity, and this is the ideal time where students can really co-create the learning experience. And you and I both know that sometimes we gather some feedback and there are some suggestions that are basically, can I do less, can I work less hard, that sort of thing, and the answer to that is always no. But there are things in there that students come up with, ideas that students come up with that we may just never have thought of. And the whole idea of having students involved in teaching and learning innovation groups, and getting their voice about what works. And I love the question, what is helping you to learn? Because it takes it away from, do you like it or do you not like it? It almost, like those questions, once you layer them in about learning, you can gain some, like say, some real nuggets about what they prefer and what is helping them, or they feel is helping them, and then you can do more of that, because we're able to link it back to the pedagogy of learning. So yeah, talk to me a little bit then about English specifically. I'm interested in English as a challenge, and what you've had to go through as an English team.
Yes, it's been a challenge. I think we've not found a tool that works for us as a subject. And I think we've kind of watched maths, and they've really run with Desmos, and it's amazing, and it's live, and it tracks the students' effort, and it's just a brilliant tool, and gives all this fantastic data. And we've kind of sat as a team and reflected on it and thought, there doesn't seem to be a quick win for us like that. And it's not that it's a quick win for maths, but that kind of embeds all of the things that we want to do in English. And so we're very much, and actually some of the student feedback has been that they love the way that we, almost that didactic teaching, they love us reading to them, they love us explaining the model answers and things like that. And and there isn't something that can replace that. We are still there delivering in that way. But what we wanted to do was look for a way to show progress more efficiently than how we do it at the moment. And that's been a real challenge, because obviously it's extended writing. So different students have different accessibility issues, and saying to somebody, type it up in Word and put it in assignment, and there's all this about IT poverty in the background that's making it so difficult. So we have uploaded answers that are handwritten, we have answers in the chat, we have answers on Word, we have answers in Notebook, and it's such a challenge to track all of that and to give synchronous feedback. And then so it's been a real challenge actually, and we've kind of come to the conclusion as a team that we wanted something that could show collaboration, so like a whiteboard. So we've really embraced the whiteboard on Teams and Jamboard, because it allows students to be in that group environment, which is what what we love to do in English and what we've been really missing. So to put their post-it notes on and to like other people's post-it notes, because there's still that reluctance to turn the mic on. And I think that it almost gives that experience. They can share ideas and they can see each other's ideas, and we can talk about it as a team together and move from it. And then because we're on Microsoft Teams, we were so excited when breakout rooms came out. I can't even begin to tell you the excitement. And we're really loving trying breakout rooms, because again, we've just missed that. There's so much in an English classroom, there's so much emphasis on talk. Yes. And that's what we were missing online and what we were craving for. And so the collaborative tools like the whiteboard and breakout rooms have just been a breath of fresh air. And up to that point, it felt like we're just really struggling. There was something missing that we wanted to replicate and we weren't able to do it. So that's been amazing this last few months, being able to use breakout rooms and learning a bit more about Jamboard or whiteboard and using those kind of tools. And it's making it feel much more collaborative.
Great.
Is what we want in our, what we've always craved for in our English classroom, I think.
Yeah. And if you look at some of the evidence-based stuff, and generally I always go back to evidence-based, it's just how my brain works, and it's I'm a scientist at heart, so it kind of, if we're going to do something, let's look at what the evidence says and let's try to apply that to the different contexts. For me, where you look at something like the Education Endowment Foundation Teaching Toolkit, which shows us that collaboration, feedback, and metacognition are the top 3 sort of impactful teaching and learning strategies. Those are the things that I think it's important to focus on as we're still exploring this online delivery. There's still so many questions, and then the different subject areas and curriculum areas are trying to find ways, and because they all have their own things that they've got to, that are challenges. And for me, I think where people are now going is this trying to figure out more ways to do collaborative work and collaborative thinking, and like you say, the discussion. Because for me, if you don't have discussion and there's not shared thinking, it really limits the amount of sort of community that you build in that space. So and I know we mentioned before, didn't we, about focusing on community, and how we do that online has kind of been a big question, and there's been lots of question marks. But for me, and it's not easy, especially students are, about if they feel unconfident, or as do staff. We still got staff that feel worried about having cameras on, but you just can't build the same community if we're not all in the space together. But actually, breakout rooms and smaller group discussions are the first stepping stone to be able to do that in that space, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's so interesting, because you're absolutely right. We've almost each sort of feedback has been a challenge and a stepping stone for us, and how do we do it, what's the best way of doing it. And as part of the project, I think we've somehow come round to it all being about community. And I think it's interesting, because the AP Connect stuff and the Reconnect days have really focused my mind about community. And I think we were doing it without realizing we were doing it, but it's just put the name to it properly. And actually, without the community, how can we ask them to turn their mics on? How can we ask them to turn the cameras on? So we've almost taken a little bit of a step back now, and we're looking more at actually focusing on community, and the other stuff will come through that feeling of community. So we've been working really hard over the last couple of weeks to just do different activities to build community. And the breakout rooms do that, but just little fun activities at the start and end of a lesson. And with that has really come this focus on mental health for the students. We've really, so my AP project's just, it's just going all over the place, because every time I turn a corner, it's like, well, actually it's that I need to look at. So we're now really looking at building the community, having conversations with students. How do you feel this morning? We always start our meetings, don't we? How are you feeling today? Well, we haven't really been asking the students that, and they will turn their mics on and they will talk to us about how they're feeling and what's going on in their life. but they wouldn't do that to answer a question. So I think we're really working on the baby steps about building confidence and building that community. And in the breakout rooms, we've noticed that they're defaulting to using the chat rather than turning the mics on. So we were all a bit like, oh, but actually, again, it's baby steps. We've got to train them and build the confidence up and accept that even chatting in the chat in a group of 4 is better than not participating at all. So all these little baby steps, but that are ultimately culminating in building this kind of safe community environment online, which I don't think they've been feeling necessarily. And so I think that's where we're at now, interestingly, is community.
Yeah, and I love that, because I've been doing quite a bit of reading recently. A lot of the work that I've been doing over since last March is about community, but thinking about safety, psychological safety in a space, building trust. And like you said, some of the things that are coming out in lots of conversations that I'm having is about sort of the informal interaction as well, so that you know about how they're feeling or how they are or what's been going on, or other things that are not just about the learning and the content. It's bigger than that, because we're having to think about the relationships that we've built or are building, so that we can build the skills to be able to interact in a way where they feel safe. And like you say, there's a sense of community. And I think we've had to sort of shift the spotlight a little bit. Like you said, you've been shifting the spotlight a little bit with where you've explored and where you've been going with the project, but I think that's similar to what's been going on across the whole of the country in terms of just figuring stuff out and finding a way just to make sure the student experience is the best that we can make it at any one time, isn't it? So just before we finish then, so what have you learnt? How have you developed being part of AP Connect?
Oh, loads of stuff. It's been such an interesting journey so far, and I feel like I've grown and developed just loads. Like it really has. And every time we have a conversation, there's something else, a new idea, a new, I need to think about that, I need to try that. So there's just so much going on in my mind when I watch a lesson or when I reflect on my own lessons. And I'm really conscious about being so focused on online delivery, and actually there's loads of other stuff that we need to think about, and it's really made me think about skills rather than such a heavy exam-based delivery, and how can we perhaps build more skills in, bigger questions, really. Yeah. And just the community, again, there's that word again, isn't it? The community of people that I now chat to regularly about and what's working for them, and just this magpieing of ideas from people or from all different colleges, and that not feeling quite so isolated in your own practice, I think, has been such a key thing for me. And even on the Reconnect Day yesterday, just explaining the importance of Twitter in the education community has just been, it's been, just a real eye-opener to know that there is this kind of world outside of your own teaching and learning that you are doing. And I think it's it just grows you in lots and lots of different ways. It's fascinating.
Amazing. And it is the power of people coming together, the power of sharing, the power of reaching beyond your own organisation or beyond your own sort of bubble of teaching, like you say, is so powerful. And sometimes we get overwhelmed. Like, education is not easy and workload is high, but when we have those small opportunities or bigger opportunities to get involved in something, it has massive payoff, doesn't it? So I'm really glad that you've even, we've not finished the projects, but you've had some really great sort of reflections on what you've been doing and how you've been doing it. So thanks so much for joining me today. It's been really great to chat to you. Thanks, Sophie. Bye.